guys, today's a one topic video about Ryland Adams, and he has obviously a podcast called The Sip with Lizzie. I'm going to get into all of that and what people are feeling about the podcast. Before you do that, my beauty channel and my social media will be in the description along with anything else you might need to find. Comment for engagement because that really helps out a lot. And yeah, let's get into it. Ryland Adams has a podcast called The Sip with Ryland Adams and Lizzie, and they are basically all-time friends. They were friends for a while, then they got into a huge argument because Lizzie was friends with someone he wasn't friends with. And they didn't talk for a few years, and now they're back to being friends and they have this podcast together. And obviously they had the podcast as a drama podcast where they would talk about kind of pop news, pop culture stuff, internet stuff. But then he realized that because he was talking about drama, people were like, why are you talking about other people's dramas but not addressing the fact that your fiance was in one of the biggest scandals on the internet, and then you're still inviting Jeffree Star on the podcast and you're not addressing your own dramas but you're addressing everyone else's dramas? And people were just really pissed off at, I guess, the hypocrisy that they were seeing from him. So then they did an episode where Ryland was basically like, we're redoing everything now, this is a regular podcast, not a drama podcast. And it just seemed like Lizzie really had no say in this stuff. Like, this came out, I remember there was a podcast episode where he said that on one of the podcast episodes they were getting a lot of hate and he just turned off the comments. And Lizzie said she was like mid-reading the comments and out of nowhere they just switched off. And she was like, oh my god, what happened? Are we getting hacked? And she called him and she was like, oh my god, our comments are gone. What happened? And he was like, oh, I turned them off. I just didn't tell you. And it's like, it's The Sip with Ryland and Lizzie, and they're two co-hosts. So you'd think if he did something so drastic, he would let her know about it. Like, hey, do you think we should turn off the comments? Like, you're a co-host. Like, what do you think? No, not one question. When they turned into a regular podcast from a drama podcast, did he have that conversation with Lizzie? Did he respect her opinion? Did he consider that maybe she actually wanted to talk about pop culture? Like, it's not her fault that he's a scandalous person and in a scandalous relationship. That sounds really weird, but like in a relationship, you know, full of drama. So then they did a podcast called Interviewing a Huge Celebrity and Exposing Our DMs, where people are basically just like, it seems like Ryland hates Lizzie. Like, really just sounds like he hates Lizzie. So it has 4.5k likes and 800 dislikes, which isn't really great. It's not the worst, but it's also not the best. So in this podcast, what happened was they were just talking about random stuff, and then Lizzie said that she actually had like a 2-second long roll clip in a horror movie that was actually trending on iTunes, like on the list of top movies. It was actually trending, and she was like, I was in it and now it's trending, and she was just really excited about it. And Ryland could not care less. I'm gonna insert the clips for you so you guys can get the full image, but he could not care less about Lizzie's movie and what she enjoyed and what she was excited about.
I'm sorry that my success intimidates you.
No, I wish I'm
a huge celebrity right now. I'm trending. I'm in a movie trending on iTunes.
I'm floating outside
and
of
no
myself.
one's talking.
With the amount of caffeine I've had this morning, I'm floating outside of myself.
Float back down to earth and realize that I am a celebrity.
What's going on?
I'm a celebrity.
Okay.
I'm in the #1 horror movie on Netflix on iTunes right now.
Really?
Yeah, bitch.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
I would clap, but I have coffee in my
Put
hands.
it down. Let me hear that applause. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah. What's going on?
Watch the clip.
You know, you want us to watch the clip? I thought we
you have to
already
watch
played
the clip. No, you got to watch the clip.
This is a real movie that you made.
Yes, watch my clip.
Well, okay. All right. This is going to be a lot of production. So you're almost near death looking out while you're on a gurney.
No, I was what I was looking at on the gurney. That's my face. I'm the doctor.
And so you didn't produce this movie or write or direct it. You were just in it.
When she went to show him this clip, he was like, oh, like, do we have to watch it? And then he was like, oh, now I'm gonna have to edit the clip in. And when she showed him the clip and he realized it was like literally a handful of seconds long, he was like, oh, like, it's so short. Now I'm gonna have to like put it into the, like, it's not even long. You know, it was really awkward. And when you go under that podcast, the top comments are, I wish Ryland would even pretend to give a shit about Lizzie's movie. She was clearly so excited and he seemed annoyed to even talk about it. Lord knows if he was in a movie for half a second, he'd be talking about it and would expect her to be interested. Nothing worse than a friend who refuses to be happy for you. With peace and love, can you just let Lizzie talk and be proud of her, okay? I kind of hate the way Ryland downplayed Lizzie's part in her movie. She seemed very excited and happy about it, and he kind of shut it down and groaned when he had to watch the 5-second clip and complained about adding it into the podcast. I hope your audience is happy for you. Ouch. That was a quote of what he said. He was like, oh, I hope your audience is happy for you. I'm feeling high-key tension the whole time between them. Lol, does he really not care she's in the movie? Congratulations, Lizzie. You deserve the hype, even if it was only a small clip. He cannot stand that Lizzie has fans, and he hates to hear her talk about her successes. Ryland doesn't even seem to be listening to Lizzie half of the time when she's speaking. Ryland, I'm an actor, so the fact that Lizzie was in a #1 movie for a second and not even in the credits is lame. I'm so much more successful. So he was like, were you even in the credits? Like, oh my god, it was so weird to watch it. It's like, I hate friends like that. They're just like, not necessarily mean to you, but they're also not very happy for you. I can't work out if they actually like each other. It's like they're eager to speak and they end up talking over each other and they dismiss what the other person is saying a lot of the time so they can carry on talking. Ryland more so, and Lizzie 100% didn't cut the cake so she didn't have to share. I would too. Right, so about the cake thing. In that same episode, they're talking about Lizzie had her birthday and she had a cake and she didn't cut it because she's like, I didn't want to eat cake. And she was just like, but if you want cake, go to the fridge and cut yourself a piece of cake. And he was like, I'm not gonna go in there and cut myself a piece of cake, but like I really wanted a piece of cake. And he was like banging on about this cake as if it was like the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, a psycho that doesn't like the... I don't want to say
Spit it out.
Well, I don't want to say the world doesn't like cakes because I'm sure the world likes cakes.
Yeah.
But you and your specific group of friends, I do not trust. I'm just like, after spending a night with you guys on a birthday, I don't get it. Lizzie went out of her way to buy a beautiful, like,
it was a cute cake.
birthday sprinkle covered cake. Well, then what was the point of the cake?
For the tradition of it all.
Okay, so we sing happy birthday, we have the beautiful cake.
And a picture of the cake. I don't.
And Lizzie's like, then puts it back in the fridge. And I was like, well, what about the cake? And then nobody addressed that nobody ate the cake. We just moved on with the night.
You're upset too, Chris?
And about an hour later, I'm sitting by the fire pit and I was like, so are we gonna eat cake? Like, I really
told you to go
wanted
get
the
some
cake.
if you wanted some cake.
But nobody that was with you ever thought about the cake again. I'm like, what kind of psychos are these people that don't like cakes, especially on a birthday?
People don't like cake.
But on a birthday, we can't even cut a slice? I felt so shy that I was the only one that wanted cake. I didn't eat cake. I just
you should have
sadly
had the
ate
cake.
the donut
See, this is
holes.
the same energy as your insecurity with your Crocs. You need to eat the cake. You need to rock the Croc.
I didn't want to have the first piece of your birthday cake.
I wanted a fruit tart, but I forgot to buy a fruit tart at Gelson's, and Joe forgot to buy a fruit tart at
you'll eat
Gelson's.
a fruit tart.
Whoa!
Oh my
gosh!
And it just dragged on for ages. And she was like, you can cut yourself a piece of cake if you want to, but like, I don't want to eat cake, so I'm not going to cut it. Ugh. Anyway, Lizzie needs no apology, lol. I think Ryland was kind of hard on her. Kind of seems like he was annoyed with her. She keeps it real and I love that. So those are the comments on that. And then on Ryland's 30th birthday surprise, they addressed the whole thing. This one has 4.4k likes and 500 dislikes, which is still not great. And in this, he addresses it and he's like, there's this clip of him being like, so Lizzie, like, is there tension between us? And she's like, well, and he's like, oh, well, I expected like a strong no, but now that you're saying this. And then he addressed the birthday cake thing again, and he was angry about it again. So then we go into the comment section and it's Lizzie needs her own show. Every time Ryland interrupts and changes the subject on her, I want to scream. I feel like Lizzie can't talk about anything without Ryland shutting her down or passively judging her. Oh my god, it's so obvious Ryland checks, monitors and manages the SIP account because the only likes from the channel itself are on 10 comments all saying anyone who doesn't eat cake when they buy it is a monster. And I mean, what the hell? So when is Lizzie getting her own podcast? Half of this literally her saying, can I finish what I was saying? And Ryland ignoring her, then starting another topic. I'm so surprised Ryland hasn't disabled the comments. Ryland is that fake nice friend that is like, and then he names all the different situations that happened. Lizzie grabbing random money falling from a drone. Your stripper money. Lizzie getting a role in the movie. So you didn't like direct the movie or make it or anything? Like he actually was angry. Well, no, he was like shading her for not producing the movie. So like famous actors are not really like worthy of their success because they didn't actually produce the movie, they just played in it. Lizzie singing a song she likes for years. How has it not gotten better? Lizzie walking like a penguin, Conor McGregor walk in her Instagram story. That's a thirst trap. I do remember all of these situations and it just sounds so shady. And then pretends to be happy and not jealous and is like, no, but listen, I think you're great. There's so many things. Or like, I'm the first one to be on the Lizzie Gordon train. And then says something like that. Could you imagine if Ryland was supportive of his friend and didn't judge her so harshly? I can't. It was so weird when seeing Lizzie without her headset and the surprise was so cute. I'm sorry, I hate when Lizzie shares a story or something about her subject gets changed immediately after or she gets interrupted and it goes to a commercial break. It gives me the vibe that they're going from friends to enemies. Frenemies. Yes, Lizzie, in regards to their relationship segment, if you don't heal what hurt you, you will bleed on people who didn't cut you. Why doesn't she just do her own podcast? Like pretty much everyone here will move over to her. Am I wrong? So I actually saw this before as well when all the Shane stuff was happening. So for example, when Trisha Paytas accused Shane and Ryland of backing up Jeffrey when Jeffrey was really mean to her, you know, all of that situation, I'll have to like go over it again. Obviously they did like a little segment in the podcast talking about it because it was obviously like a big thing. So Ryland was like, oh my god, like look, you never told us. And he like never apologized in that episode. He was just like, you never told us how you were feeling. How are we supposed to know? And Lizzie the whole time, like Lizzie was not in that situation. She was not friends with Jeffrey at the time. She was not friends with Trisha. She was not friends with Ryland at the time. And she was just like, look, I wasn't there, but like I'm really sorry that that happened to you. I'm really sorry that, you know, you felt like you were disrespected and unheard and unnoticed. I'm just really sorry that all of this happened to you. She seemed so apologetic. And people are like, okay, so Lizzie, who's not at fault at all, is not in the wrong at all, can apologize to Trisha, But Ryland, who hurt Trisha's feelings, continued to support Jeffrey while Jeffrey was being a piece of shit, can't apologize, can't say sorry once, and it's just basically like, well, how are we supposed to know when you didn't tell us? So people at the time were like, oh, we wish Lizzie just had her own podcast because it would seem less problematic and it would be less drama around it, because she's not getting herself into drama or scandals, and most people just want to listen to her instead of Ryland. And people were really angry at the time. And people were bringing up these concerns back then, basically saying like, why is Ryland the one speaking the most when no one literally cares? People care about what Lizzie has to say. Why is he interrupting her? And this has gone on for this long, and now all of the comments are about this. Like, if you just look at the comments, they're all about this. So that's the stuff with Ryland and Lizzie and the podcast. Like, what do you guys think? Do you think they're going to just drop the podcast? Do you think Ryland's going to do it on his own? Do you think Lizzie's going to start her own podcast? I just feel like they're really not friends. Like, I feel like they don't like each other. Or maybe they liked each other, but now that they have to actually work together, they don't like each other. You know what they say, you should never work with family or friends because you can, like, start to hate them. I feel like that's what happened to them. They're like, they were friendly enough, but then they were forced to hang out with each other every week. And maybe they just don't really like each other right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Subscribe, hit that bell, like, and comment for engagement. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.